Reporting to you from the Farm Bureau Convention going on in Kearney, and during the session, as Governor-elect Ricketts made a stop here, he announced that Greg Ibach, he's asking him to stay on as the Ag Director under the next administration, and we have Greg with us, and so I guess that's up to you, Greg. Is the answer yes?
Oh, of course so. I'm really excited to have the opportunity to work with Governor Ricketts, and I think he's got some great priorities for agriculture, and we'll look forward to doing what we can to assist in carrying out those priorities.
Now, I don't know how, that particular issue comes up, but we've had quite a few years that you've had under Governor Heineman, and then to be asked to stay on when the administration changes, how common is that?
Well, it's been a long time since we've had, the same party succeed themselves, and so there's probably quite a ways back in history before we've really had a situation where it was similar to this. But, Governor Ricketts approached it from a real business-like perspective, which shouldn't be surprising with his business background. He asked for applications for the position and applied and went through a fairly standard process for applying for a job.
Mm-hmm. Greg, the last 10 years, has it been a total of 10 that you've been Ag Director?
Well, a short 10. It's May of 2005 is when I was appointed director and had come in under Joe Hands as assistant director in January of 1999. So about 16 years with the Department of Ag now.
In that amount of time, there have to be some highlights, and maybe it'd be a good time to, as we kind of transition to at least to the next administration, to reflect on perhaps some of the highlights of the previous tenure.
Yeah, well, it's been an interesting 16 years. When Merlin and I came to the department in January of 1999, that was right before I think hogs hit $8 in February or March. And so, there was a kind of a mini crisis in the pork industry at that time. And so we've worked through those fluctuations. We had BSE affect our cattle exports. And so we've had ups and downs all the way through. And, now we've had just recently very strong crop markets that are a little bit softer now, but still, we're still enjoying those in agriculture. And the livestock industry is profitable again. So it's been kind of an interesting 16 years.
Now, as you take a look on into the next administration and the next at least 4, what are you thinking that do we do anything differently?
Well, Governor Ricketts in his campaign and throughout his campaign identified some priorities for agriculture. And some of those were, in line with what we have been doing, export markets being a priority for him. And he's very interested in actually participating in some of those trade missions and working really hard to make it a cooperative effort between DED, Department of Economic Development, and Ag. So we're excited about that. He's identified livestock expansion as an opportunity for Nebraska. I've heard him talk about that, why we can add value to all of our corn, wheat, and soybeans we grow here in the state, and let's look for opportunities to do that rather than ship out commodities. So I think there's some exciting opportunities for us to pursue that will grow jobs, grow agriculture, and keep Nebraska in the international focus of being a provider of food as we move into 2050.
Now, one of the things that the Farm Bureau has as a priority is the livestock expansion. How key is that to the future of agricultural health and development and vitality as we move ahead?
Well, Nebraska is really proud to be the #1 red meat producing state in the nation. And we do that with a lot of beef production and a lot of beef slaughter capacity. But we're also very dependent on our pork plants to maintain that. And right now those plants are being supported largely from pigs that are grown outside of the borders of Nebraska that come into Nebraska for slaughter. So I think that we have a great opportunity here in Nebraska to be able to bring some of those pigs for feeding back into Nebraska, support those slaughter plants that we have, create jobs and opportunities for young people to come back to the farm, as well as look at opportunities outside of the pork industry and the dairy industry to do the same thing.
Now, obviously, agriculture cyclical, and we don't have to look back very far to see where commodity prices, the corn prices were, just a couple of years ago, and where they are today. To know that, and on the other hand, the livestock sector experiencing some very good times, partly because of the low commodity prices. Any thoughts about how we put it all together so that we're able to, weather those ups and downs?
Well, I think that's, again, part of the importance of the livestock industry in Nebraska. And so, we've gravitated a little bit over the last few decades to having row crop farmers and having livestock farmers, and not really having those diversified operations that, when I was a kid, was pretty common across Dawson County, Nebraska, that people had livestock and crops, and maybe had 2 or 3 different kinds of livestock. And so I think there's an opportunity for us to diversify our operations, those row crop operations, with some livestock, and use that to bring kids home to the farm rather than just growing the number of row crop operations. And in turn, that will help those operations weather that cyclical storm. Right now, livestock is valuable, crops aren't. A few years ago, crops were valuable, livestock weren't. And if you have both, you kind of draw that straight line across instead of the up and down line.
Well, the guy that will be serving on as the Director of Agriculture in the next administration, the Ricketts administration, Greg Ibach, visiting with us here today from the Farm Bureau meeting. We're having the chance to talk. From the meeting for the Rural Radio Network, I'm Mike LePorte. It's very good. Thank you, sir.